You feel you are a true Apple fan? Well, I'll tell you 10 amazing facts about Apple right now in this video. And if you know 8 or more, then you can say you are a true Apple fan. So there's a trivia about the voice memo icon that you see in your Apple devices. It's an audio waveform and not any random audio waveform. It is made when you say Apple. And if I talk about the Apple Maps icon, the last change happened in 2017, exactly when Apple changed its headquarters to the very famous Apple Park. While going towards Apple Park, you will see that intersection of roads. Before 2017, the icon was made of one infinite loop, famous for Apple's older headquarters. One more I'll tell you. In Safari, you see the reading list icon. That icon is a spectacles, and that is exactly matching with the shape of Steve Jobs' spectacles. But there is no official communication about it. Apple was founded in 1976 by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne. Ronald Wayne is a lesser known founder of Apple, as he quit Apple within 12 days after it was formed. He had 10% stakes, which he sold at that time at a price of $800. If he would have been in Apple currently, then he would have worth more than $200 billion. Although Wayne mentioned that he does not regret his decision and is happy to move out of Apple at that time. Really? Crepes Asar. The original contract signed between the three founders in 1976 for $500 was sold in an auction in 1990 for $1.6 million. Even the agreements of Apple are worth fortune. Now let's talk about some numbers. Apple's revenue in 2022 was $400 billion, which in Indian rupees equals to 32 lakh crore. Apple's revenue for one day is more than $1 billion, which is equal to 8 to 9,000 crores. Apple sells a lot of products and services. So if we were to see the distribution of this revenue, iPhone accounts for the 50% of the revenue that Apple generates, whereas software services like iCloud, Apple Music, Apple Pay, etc. accounts for 10% of the revenue. Mac accounts for another 10 to 15% of the revenue. iPad is around 10% again, and other wearables and home accessories like HomePods, Apple Watches, etc. accounts for another 10%. If you were to understand Apple's revenue of 2022, it is equivalent to the revenue generated by Meta and Google in year 2022. Do you know which is the most sold iPhone by Apple till date? It's iPhone 6, which was launched back in 2014, and number of units sold till now is more than 220 million. That is 22 crores. Now let's talk about the brand name and the logo of the Apple. Now there are many stories behind why Apple is named Apple. Some says that Steve Jobs was on a fruitarian diet and his favorite fruit was apple. Hence he named it Apple. It's a rumor. The real reason is randomly Apple word came in the mind of Steve Jobs and he proposed to Steve Wozniak. They both decided and agreed upon that they want a simple name and it should not be some Star Trek names at that time like Atari computers. They found Apple very elegant, very subtle, and they agreed that their company's name should be Apple. Now, if we talk about the logo, the first logo was designed by Ronald Wayne. It featured Sir Isaac Newton sitting under the tree and William's Wordsworth quote, "Newton, a mind forever voyaging through strange seas of thought alone." Well, this logo was there for Apple from 1976 to 1977. But in 1977, the logo was changed to a very familiar one to us, which shows a bitten apple in rainbow colors. It was designed by Rob Janoff. Now, why this apple is bitten? Because if it is a non-bitten apple and shrinked to a smaller size, it reflects like a cherry tomato or some other fruits. And this logo was tweaked little bit multiple times and came out to the current logo, which is desirable. As we can see, Apple is known for its attention to detail. So if you see any Apple product marketed, it shows time as 9:41, be it your iPhone, your iPad or Mac. Here's a theory for that. The first iPhone was launched on January 9, 2007 at 9:41 am in California by Steve Jobs. From then, Apple used this time in all their devices while doing any kind of PR. This makes Apple, Apple. I mean, who thinks to such a minute detail that the time on the devices should be in sync? Now, talking about the first iPhone, the one which was on stage and shown just after the event had a plastic screen on that. But when the keynote got over, Steve Jobs saw a lot of scratches on the screen. He immediately said to his team that it needs to be changed to glass. Hence came the Corning company with the Gorilla Glass, which was a 40-year-old technology and nobody has used, and now all the glasses are Gorilla. Hence, Apple is a true innovator. Now you all must know that Apple doesn't manufacture anything themselves, they just assemble it. Hence, it is written at the back, designed in California, assembled in China, India, wherever their factories are. Apple has acquired 127 companies, including companies like Next, which was founded by Steve Jobs, Siri for the virtual voice assistant, Beats for their AirPods and Apple Music, and currently in last 2-3 years they are acquiring VR and AR companies, and I'm sure it is for their Vision Pro. When Steve Jobs was the CEO, at that time he was the lowest paid CEO. He just took $1 a month, and the reason for that is he wanted to make sure that all the money goes into the research and development, and he only earned from the shares he had in the Apple. I mean, that's the level of confidence that any founder should have on his company. Okay, now have you seen any calculator app on iPad? No, there is no official calculator app by Apple on their iPad. So when the iPad was launched, Steve Jobs was not convinced with the calculator app, which was the stretched version of the calculator app in the iPhone. But here's the trivia. You can calculate on iPad on the Spotlight search. Simply just open Spotlight search and do whatever calculation you want. Now, did you know that? If yes, please do a comment, as it helps this channel to grow. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.